How's it going, everyone? I got a lot of Stellar Blade updates to go over in this video. Now, we do know that the PC release is coming on June the 11th. However, there's a couple of other points I do want to dissect. There's going to be a free update for the game, and then also there is going to be the Nikke DLC, the Project Nikke crossover DLC. It is going to be bringing with it a lot of content and a lot for you to digest. Well, in the case of the update, there's a lot with that. The paid DLC, you could make an argument whether or not it should be $10, which I imagine it will be, given that the Nier Automata DLC was $10, and added to the fact that the complete edition is $79.99. Makes sense that it would be $10, but I want to cover some of the points on that. Also, I do want to take a look at a very interesting stat when it comes to Stellar Blade's PC release, and I'm telling you guys, like, I'm getting a little bit of a jump start on it, but I certainly expect that come June 11th, when these concurrent player count data is available via Steam database, and remember, this is the most visible data set that we have, and that's why it is so analyzed. It's an important data set. Is it the be-all, end-all? No, but it is the most publicly available. That's why people go crazy over it. It's important to contextualize this data, and I feel like I do a pretty good job on this channel, mentioning things like when a game's available on Game Pass, and other factors such as a delayed release, so on and so forth. With Stellar Blade, there's a metric I want to look at that's already leading to this game, I think, going to be a gigantic PC release. There are other factors that are unfortunately going to deter people from picking it up, but we'll talk that at the end of this video. Right off the bat, Stellar Blade will be getting 2 new boss battles with a new content update and the Nikke collab DLC. Presence Chamber DLC, that's just a free update. That's going to be available for everyone, and everybody is going to be able to go after that boss battle. Then there will be the Scarlet boss battle. That'll be available in a new location with the Nikke DLC. Specifically, the Goddess of Victory Nikke crossover DLC notes this: worlds collide in an epic crossover of heroic proportions in this add-on expansion for Stellar Blade featuring Goddess of Victory Nikke. The warrior Scarlet has arrived from ShiftUp's hit third-person shooter mobile app to challenge you in a one-on-one showdown for the ages. Only by defeating this new boss can you claim a new costume, hairstyle, and song for Eve as a reward. Put your trigger finger to the test in sci-fi shooting range minigames and visit a new shop owned by the Goddess of Victory Nikke's faithful robotic dog Volt, who sells a variety of themed outfits, items, and cosmetics. Or take a break from the hectic action and enjoy a spot fishing to see if you can reel in 6 collectible Goddess of Victory Nikke items. All of that is coming with the Goddess of Victory Nikke crossover DLC, and why I think this is so smart, how they are structuring it. The Nier Automata DLC already came out. That did fairly well for what it was. It was a crossover DLC, a small piece of content update. But with the Goddess of Victory Nikke DLC, you are now dropping it on PC, and any following crossover DLC that you do, you now are working with a significantly larger pool of people that you're picking from that are gonna buy this DLC, and I think it would be just foolish not to do more crossovers after this. I'm not saying spam crossovers, because I see so many ideas for crossovers that you don't want to get into this territory where you're just spamming them. You want to make each one feel like it's a big deal. At most, I would do 2 a year, and that's the absolute cap. So 1 in the summer and 1 in the winter, I think makes a ton of sense. The Nier Automata one came out in the winter, Goddess of Victory now in the summer, or close to the summer, you get the idea. I think that is a perfectly fine cadence. If you want to up it to 3 times a year, that is the absolute max, I feel. Twice a year, I feel like, is ideal. 3 times is absolute max. I get it. There's so many. Like, could you imagine a Final Fantasy VII crossover? The Tifa people would go wild for the Tifa costume. Like, let's just be honest here. People would go wild for the Tifa costume, and it would sell insane. And given that they already worked with Square Enix for the Nier Automata crossover, like, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure, like, anybody with half a brain cell is already thinking about, oh my god, do you know how much money we can make off the Final Fantasy crossover? And, you know, to do optional boss battle. Like, there's so many possibilities for Stellar Blade. It is insane, but the Nier Automata one, Goddess of Victory, a good start. And I think the major ones going forward, now that you're working with the PC pool of players as well, now it makes sense to do even bigger crossovers if you can figure out deals for them. And even if you want to do, I don't even know, like, a Helldivers 2 crossover, you guys, that would be kind of cool. Like, you could figure that out to do, like, a Helldivers themed suit for Eve. I think that would be pretty cool. You know, just one that's a little bit more off the beaten path, and a game that is published by PlayStation, is still an ongoing experience in its own right, so it would be cross-promotion, and it would elevate both games. Just throwing out ideas there, of ones that make sense to me, but I think the potential raises exponentially with now the PC players being in that pool. I'll also say this, the fact that they're giving us such a significant free update, credit to Shift Up once again for keeping this game in the news cycle for so long and doing an incredible job of doing so. And that is only going to ramp up because this brings me to my next point. So, as you guys know, and maybe to a level that has gotten annoying, that Steam concurrent player count data has been so analyzed because it's the most readily available public data set that we have for these games. It's a nice stat to have, and certainly one that warrants being dissected, but you have to contextualize the data. I see people taking a Black Myth Wukong and then suddenly comparing games that are coming out to Black Myth Wukong. Like, Black Myth Wukong was an absolute juggernaut in China, and it peaked at over 2 million concurrent players. It's gonna be hard for any game to get to that level. With Stellar Blade, the number that I think they should be shooting for is north of 50,000. I think that they are going to cruise past that number pretty easily based on some of the information I'm going to get to. Unfortunately, the one deterring element is the fact that this game is region locked. I don't know why PlayStation and Sony still cannot figure it out. They tried to make PSN account linking a thing on PC for a while. They realized that that was a dumb idea. They went back on it, but why is region locking still a thing? Excuse me. Now, it's not, when you look at overall percentage of video game buyers on Steam, it's not a gigantic portion of people that you are locking out of the game. The majority of people are going to be in the West, Europe, etc., but you're still locking out people that want to buy this game, want to support this game, and play this game. And now what are they going to do? On top of that, you do have anti-piracy DRM de novo, which is not ideal whatsoever. So those are going to be two factors that are going to be directly impacting how this game does on PC. However, this brings me to my next point. SteamDB does have a data available pre-launch and even post-launch called followers. Followers is the amount of people following the game, not wishlisting the game, following the game, that gives them email updates and things of that nature. There's a study done that the wishlist number is usually around 9 times the amount of the followers. That's the median amount. It usually is higher as far as wishlist goes, but followers, right now, it has 65,000 followers. Why is that number significant? Well, it's because we are 2 weeks away from the release, actually over 2 weeks, 3 weeks away from the release of the game. So 3 weeks away from the release of the game, and remember, that follower number only exponentially increases as you get closer and closer to the release of the game. How about we take a look at some relevant examples to compare this game to? How about we pull up an Assassin's Creed Shadows? Because God knows that data has been microanalyzed. So right now, Assassin's Creed Shadows has 73,000 followers on Steam, but the number relevant, and they have a followers history, which, God, SteamDB, appreciate this for nerds like me. You want to go back to around the time it released, and Assassin's Creed Shadows at the time of release was around 40,000 followers, 37,000 the day before release. That's Assassin's Creed Shadows, 37,000 the day before release. You guys, Stellar Blade is 3 weeks out, and we are already at 65,000 followers. Digest that for a second. Okay, how about another game? Last of Us Part 2. Since this is a game I think is going to be directly compared to. Last of Us Part 2, right around release, was at 45,000 followers. Again, Stellar Blade is at 65,000 followers 3 weeks before release. So those are two to compare to. How about Ghost of Tsushima? Why I bring up Ghost of Tsushima? Because I feel like it's a relevant comparison, because that is the most successful PlayStation published title on PC with a delayed release that isn't Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 was an anomaly. A live service game, day one release on PC, peaked at over 400,000 players. We're looking at delayed game releases that have been successful. Tsushima is the most successful so far. Well, Tsushima, right on day of release, was at 98,000 followers. So you can see that this followers data does correlate with how successful a game is. Not one-to-one, but given that Ghost of Tsushima had way more followers than Last of Us Part 2, and it did way better from a concurrent player count standpoint, that kind of tracks as far as that's concerned. 98,000 for Tsushima, but remember, that was week of release. Stellar Blade is still 3 weeks out, and over the big information rollout, it has been exponentially increasing, and the fact that it's already at 65,000, it's gonna increase exponentially by the time we get to the release of the game. Man, I don't know if this game is gonna beat Tsushima, but I think it's gonna come pretty damn close. I will also say this, Stellar Blade is one of those games that I think when they put the banner of Eve on Steam, when the game comes out, when the mods are out, and it's not about the mods in a vacuum, it's about the mods leading towards people posting clips of it on social media, that in turn just advertising the game even more. It's all of these factors coming together that I think this game is gonna do outstandingly well on PC. And maybe I'm overstating it a little bit, but that 50,000 number, again, I think they're going to blow past that. And given that Last of Us Part 2 peaked at 33,000 or something like that, 31,000, it beating Last of Us Part 2 by that big of a margin, I think is insane. And then on top of that, if it gets to that 77,000 number for a brand new IP, which, you know, to be fair, Tsushima was a new IP as well, but Stellar Blade would be establishing itself so much more if it does hit that number. And again, we do have the de novo element, we do have the element of it being region locked, but also, it's the number 4 top seller as of the recording of this video on Steam, and yeah, I think this game is going to be big. Relatively big. I'm not saying it's gonna crack 200,000 concurrent players. I do think like 100,000 would be the absolute ceiling. That would be the best case scenario. We'll see. I don't think it's gonna get to 100k, but if it gets to 70k, that's a home run. If it gets anything above 70k, you're talking about a gigantic success as far as that's concerned, given that you've had games like Spider-Man 2 peaking out at like 30k, 33k. Now, that game was one of the worst PC ports of all time. Stellar Blade is not going to be that based on the fact that they've been so transparent as far as the system requirements and, you know, optimization on the deck and whatnot. I think it's going to be more accessible in that regard, but I think this game is going to do really well, you guys. I think it's going to do really well for the PC audience, and excited for that, because if it's already at 65,000 right now, that's almost 2x of what Assassin's Creed, not 2x, but 1.5x of what AC Shadows was at launch. And well above Last of Us Part 2 at launch as well. And we're still 3 weeks out, you guys, from the release of this game. So I think it's gonna do pretty damn well. But that'll do it for me. Again, I know not all of you love the informational data set breakdowns, but I try to contextualize it because it is such a talking point and people want to know about how good games do, and I try to use the information that's publicly available. I try to make relevant comparisons, and I try to contextualize the data as best as I can. Am I off sometimes? Absolutely, but I feel like I try to be as objective as humanly possible when it comes to the metrics. But let me know your guys' thoughts. Free update coming, a lot of new costumes, new boss battle. You've got the Goddess of Nikke DLC bringing in a new boss battle and location as well. Hopefully more DLC and expansions to come. And then the Steam release, you guys, I think it's going to be a juggernaut. So, it's going to be relatively a juggernaut, given that it could end up being the most successful PlayStation PC game that they've done, not Helldivers 2, but yeah, I feel like that's a pretty remarkable stat. That'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.